maybe we get one more rousing round of applause. And also for those just astonishing performers. that Faye works so beautifully with, and also all of your collaborators. I'm emotional, so forgive me. I'm just feeling very emotional about this piece. I've seen it 3 times now, and every single time I have a similar kind of very, very moving reaction, and I'm grateful for it. It is about being alive at this moment in time. So I just, so that's the kudos and more to you. Okay, I just want to say a few words, and then I'm going to ask you a question or two, and then we can also have a few questions from the audience. I think all of us are, I can't speak for each of you in terms of what your own experience was with this piece, but I will guess that we're all doing our own version of processing, and that processing may actually well take a time, that it's not instantaneous. So many aspects of this work may have touched you, they touched me. So many components which are so intricately connected emotionally and intellectually. I think with this moment of time, and that's what I'm going to in a second ask you about, I think, also seeing the piece and what you used the word modeling earlier today, and what I took from that in terms of what this piece also is doing, and it's modeling a way of being for all of us in our bodies on a moment-to-moment basis. Anyway, so the suggestion I'll just say, and then I'll go to the question is, you all take whatever time to consider this on your own, because I said this during the that it was likely that for many of us this was going to be a work unlike what we have seen before in terms of how we think about what dance is, but this is dance, it is movement, it is skill, it is training, it is enormous kind of skill around improvisational work. I mentioned the Graham quote for some of you at the pre-talk, which I saw over in the archives, in which she said in her wisdom back then that artists are not before their time, they are their time, and that it's the rest of us that are catching up, and artists are leading the way on that if we keep ourselves open-hearted, intellectually curious about what the artists are doing. I think to see the size of people that were in that room and that are here now, I think I would, say that you are all doing that, which is a beautiful thing. You can take this question anywhere you want. Faye's bio is in the program, so that's available for all of you to read. But I just think how you, Faye, as an artist, and artist/human being, are perceiving the world around you now, and how that has been driving how you are putting this work together, and what were the kind of antecedents, what came before in previous work, and that led you to this work?
Well, I started making this work out of the COVID-19 pandemic, right just out of it. And I think one of our particular maybe human limitations is being able to see our time, in the sense that we're like our time, but it's, right, we only live, max 100 years. And so I think with this piece, I was really trying to think about like longer time and thick time and many layers of time occurring simultaneously. And quotidian time, and then vast geologic time, and how do we sense events much larger than us, coming from maybe hundreds of years ago through time, to smash upon us now or come through our bodies now. So I feel like it's deeply of the now, and in this way where we're like, well, the now, I am part of a slow wave in my body, part of a slow wave of ancestors, meeting the great mystery of this time now in my embodiment, and yet also carrying so much. And so I think we sense right now time in this really, right? We sense it in this way. How does the tree sense time? How does the bird sense time? So I think these are some of the questions that I think really it's partly like, how the fuck do we even feel what's happening and sense it? We can think a lot about it. We can look at text and image and word constantly all day long about it. But how is it possible to sense it? And there's an impossibility, I feel, almost, too muchness, excessiveness. So the piece in its circularity is also saying there's so many sides to the same story, like you can't possibly capture it, and it's always in motion, and we're always changing, and so that's, I think that's some of addressing the question. And then this work feels like it's also, I think artists are making work, we make work in live art, so we have this thing called premiere. But that's also often when the work just barely begins, and then there's this like thing that stretches out over maybe many stops, hopefully, if you get to do that. But it also the dancers have all their histories in their bodies, and I've been doing these practices for years, so I like to stretch my mind outside of just the moment and of the show and think about that. So it is really a culmination of many, many years of practices and strategies and relationships and
and I think you're the way that you've structured this piece, in which you've made us be with it in its stillness in the beginning, that use of stillness, even though it's not still, that there is cellular activity that's going on while that is, it allows, or at least I'm just speaking for myself, that it allows a time to kind of sort of exhale. Or both,
or drop your phone in your water bottle.
Right, yeah. But it is it's a journey, and the time is really in it. And what that notion of time is, how you were talking about it, is not the time necessarily that we, as Westerners here, necessarily think of in the tick, tick, tick of time. That there is a different kind of time that is a body-based kind of time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think. Because the performers are so extraordinary, if you could talk, maybe not necessarily individually about each one, but talk a little bit about what you were looking for as you were conceiving this piece, and the kind of performer that you felt you would need to be able to realize the vision that you have. Yeah,
I actually ended up holding an audition, which I don't often do, but I was coming out of this, no contact, touchless time, and I knew I wanted to make this work, which they're drooling and they're on each other and they're in each other, and it's absolutely the opposite of that time. So I put a call out, and I sort of said what I wanted, and I also also said compassionate weirdo, and like less diva, more compassionate weirdo. And I knew I was looking for people with a good amount of skill in their bodies and system, who also were game to use their voices, and really, I think, a certain intuitive sense that I have about people's willingness to take risk, willingness to be uncomfortable, willingness to be on the edge and be changed by a process, because most of my processes you don't walk in being able to do. Like, there's not really like a training program that you can do to kind of like, oh yeah, now I can do that. And so the work itself is the training for the work. So you have to be willing to be in the work and the vulnerability of a new process, generating things, and also training yourself to be able to do it, which is, it's just really a certain kind of person who's up for that and doesn't worry like, oh, I just want to, I want to do my thing and look really good and know that I'm going to be really good. It's like, no, I'm going to be on the edge. And that is, so there's a bravery and a humility in each of them that I am so grateful for.
Yeah. I wonder if you can talk about, for me, I was feeling a kind of combination of grief in the piece, but by the end, I was so in love with the performers. At some point, I would do it, but one, it had felt kind of, I don't know if any of you did at some point. I mean, when that piece was really spinning around and the performers were just flying in from all different directions with that kind of incredible improvisational skill of knowing where to land and how to stand and keep a kind of stability, it was remarkable. I felt almost like 5 years old and wanting to, with abandon. I didn't feel it yesterday, but I felt it today. I'm just curious if anyone else kind of felt that kind of thing. I just wanted to join in because there was the movement towards a kind of cataclysm that was collective amongst those performers. I don't know if you have any response to, that's not really a question in there, but.
Let's get you in there, Carla. I mean, the structure, the proximity, the time we take, the quietness, the sound of breath. I mean, our diaphragms are always reading each other all the time. Like we are speaking through our diaphragms, our breath. And so the whole score is mostly these breaths that are also moving through it's really in training and entrancing your system to be in it and with it in a very particular kind of somatic process. The sound's moving this way. There's things coming in and things going out. I think just to speak to some of the technologies of how one might feel, apart from this, the maybe muscle memory of jumping on a bed or jumping into something. I think that y'all are in it.
Yeah, we're in it.
Yeah.
We are in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I listen in the beginning now. I listen for the stomach to grumble. I listen for the frustrated sigh and someone whispering something, the shifting body. I listen for the water bottle to drop and for the phone to ring. I'm like, oh, there's the score. It's starting. And then the bodies lean back, and then some bodies start to lean in. And then, I mean, it's a score. The score for the audience is in it as well, in that way.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you, I didn't mention this before, so it's not a trick question or anything, but if in the process of making this work from the time that you started, which was it was before 2023. It was maybe 2022.
Late 2021. I was like,
Yeah. And because
Omicron.
you just, oh, what?
Or Omicron.
Because you just said, there's how did you just put it? Anyway, you are the kind of artist who's always pushing into unknown territory. You are, and that's that's what the rest of us really need and want to be following it, to open up a kind of corridors of thought and ways of perceiving that maybe we didn't have before. So I guess my question is, like, from the start of this piece, which came after your trilogy, right? Or, well, you had a few other pieces, I think, in between there, kind of smaller ones, maybe.
Lockdown.
Yeah, but is there anything you would share the kind of learning that took place in you as this piece evolved? Yeah. I didn't say this question before. So.
It's okay. I think I can say that. I think, I have to keep bringing up pandemic, but like to think that I thought, okay, maybe I'm never going to do this again. This thing I'd just been doing my whole life, and I thought, okay, like I might not be able to shake a hand, or whatever, and then let alone have a dance or make a piece. And so then as I re-entered, there was this sort of determination and hunger for me to kind of go towards not just the work I'd been making, but really, really far into it. And I knew that I wanted to go into it with a different kind of sensitivity, because we were all coming out of something really intense. And so I worked with an intimacy coordinator, which is a real, people know this is, they often coordinate sex scenes in movies, but we actually did stage some sex scenes as part of the process for this work, but we learned all this kind of really beautiful language about how to be with each other and communicate with each other, that I think as a baby of the 90s dance world, I was like, ugh, that's gonna be so boring. We're gonna be like, may I touch your leg? I'm like, oh my God. We're gonna spend hours just, hello, may I? And that was not what happened. Very, very quickly, the risk was able to go much further. And then not only was the risk able to go further, we were there for it. We're really present. We're really sensitized in it. And then we also did a shared agreements process. And another thing I felt eye-rolly about, honestly, and then I was like, oh, this is incredible. We all know one of our shared agreements is we want to be here. It's really basic, but it doesn't always feel that way when you're in creative processes. So there was certain things I set up, I think, coming out of something that I then learned so much about how to show up in a different way as a creator inside this work. And I feel, when you're like starting to be around all these really cool, beautiful people and they're really loving, you're like, oh, maybe I'm more loving now. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, everybody's unavailable and nobody, like, oh, maybe I was unavailable and not actually showing up. So I guess that's my like internal. But
you're really showing
learning.
Up in this piece. I mean, everyone is, the kind of tenderness and care and in the intimacy, and but it isn't the conventional kind of way that one thinks about, like, oh, we're caring for each other. It's a different kind.
What is care?
Real, but it's care.
Yeah, what is care?
Yeah.
What do we consider care?
Yeah.
It's careful a lot of the time.
Okay.
It's because we live in a litigious society, we're afraid of somebody gonna come after us.
Yeah.
We're not actually caring. Like, what is real care?
Yeah.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's different. I can check all the boxes and litigate my whole world around me so that it's perfectly, and that's, to me, that's claustrophobia.
Yeah.
Personally. Because care is a wrestle. It's alive.
Yeah. Just wondering if there's, okay, we have a question right over here. Okay, and we'll do you next.
Hi, I thought the piece was just amazing. I had no idea what to expect, and we were in the front row, and it was just amazing. So thank you, genius. But I did have two questions, because I never am sure if I understand fully. And there was a couple of instances where it looked like somebody was inflicting real pain, like when one of the dancers took a bite out of the other dancer's flank and left teeth marks. I didn't, quite understand the infliction of pain in this piece that was really trying to celebrate connection after COVID. And then I was wondering about the dirt and the leaves, and was it just having total abandon and experiencing what we couldn't experience during COVID, that it was just, I can touch anything I want, I can touch any person I want, I can do what I want with my body. So if you could just explain a little bit more about what you were trying to convey.
Yeah, I
Thanks.
appreciate your question. And I think just to also be clear, I wasn't trying to convey connectedness after COVID. I was trying to convey complicated entanglement, catastrophic interdependency, that we cannot close ourselves off from each other. It is impossible. We live on this, you've seen it from above, this little thing. That's our body. That's all of our bodies, that thing, that orb. That's very unsanitary. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, I mean, it's just like, it's so I think that's it. And these things are all mixed up right next to each other. It's, what did Martin Buber said? Evil is the throne on which beauty sits, evil is the throne on which good sits. It's like, so I think it's more than that. And there's, yeah. And some people really like being bit.
So you've talked about sort of risk in the piece, but one of the things that really marked me was chaos versus control as well. And you're like, how do you balance that, and how do you shape that as the piece comes together?
Yeah, that is rigor on all of our parts. That it is many, many humans in deep commitment on many levels. The people you're seeing, the people you see a little bit who come in and out, who are part of the sound designer and the stage management, everyone, the person who's cleaning off the necklace at the end of the night. I mean, it's really this ecology that we're in, and then obsession. Just need a place for it to go. It does, and it's evolving, it's deepening. There's a lot of labor of love going on with it every time we come back to it to reinvigorate it. And there's a kind of collective memory process. It's really beautiful, this thing that we do, because you're like, how am I going to do that? And then you're standing next and you feel that person's arm, and you're like, oh, there it is. It's the third thing, right? It's not like, oh, I read the text of how I do this performance. I'm next to, I don't know, you guys could speak to this, but like, you're next to James, you're next to Corey, and you're like, oh, I know what the next thing is. It comes back and it comes through us all, and that's such a cool thing.
So how much improvisation is part of this piece? And I can't imagine these artists jumping on that thing as it goes faster and faster and faster. Do they do it the same way each time, or is there a improvisational thing that you guide, or etc.?
Yeah. It's a mix, It's like, how improvised was your question? You know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit, it's like you thought about it, you're in it, you know what you're going to ask, and then how it comes out exactly is a little bit different. So there's changes in the sense that we really know what we're doing. We know where we need to be. We know that there's so much that has to happen in a precise way. And then in that part where they're going really fast, there's a specific order of events that we're going for. It doesn't always succeed, and we're really alive to that. People are making moment by moment choices as to how to be in it. So I think it's I wish we were such good improvisers that we could do it without all this. I mean, those people who can do that are whew. But yeah, we're in a mixture of really rigorous structure and then meeting it in an alive way. That's the short answer. Yeah.
I'm a theater background and dance background, And I was told by someone who knows a choreographer and met you and said, this is a choreographer not to miss. And this is a dance place. And I wonder where you see dance and theater intersecting, because to me this was a tremendous story. Maybe I'm just planting it, but that's what I dissect. So it was a wonderful story. It was moving, and moving physically, just emotionally. So I just wondered, your training and development, because you're certainly breaking new ground here, seems to me, and brave and courageous in the whole concept. So how do you see yourself as a groundbreaker and your tradition and, the intersection of theater and dance?
Yeah, thanks.
Maybe I'm off kilter, but
No, you're not off
I'm
kilter
wondering.
at all. Yeah, I think my parents were both actors and grew up around a lot of theater. And when I started choreographing, at the same moment I started making my own work, I started to create for plays, like as a gig. So I would work with a lot of directors, sit in on a lot of processes. And it was kind of amazing process for me because it was like having comp assignments, like, okay, we need to make this dance, it's to this church music. Okay, I'm gonna figure out how to do that. Okay, this one is like cabaret. It was like not me. So I had to create a kind of way of working that was a little irreverent to what my precious, that's how I often feel, my precious work. And I think it did open my mind, and I learned a lot about how to speak to people and be in the room with people, or what I didn't want to do, through being in those making work inside those processes. So that's an influence. And then I think growing up in the sort of postmodern, like, call it the fuck you modern dance phase, and like the kind of like no wings aesthetic, which I love, but I was like, well, why not? Like, why not move my face? Why not use my voice? Like, isn't this part of my body too? I think from a very young age, I just had that sense, that dance is anything and everything that the body can do. And this, yeah. Sorry?
You are masterful.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to bring it to a close and just say and ask everyone to perhaps do, because some of the dancer performers
Yeah,
weren't
let's
in
give
the
it up for the
room.
dancers.